This is the Politics of Everything, and I'm your host, Amber Daines. Welcome to the podcast where we want to discuss the politics of everything, from money to motherhood, nutrition to narcissism, startups to secularism, the environment to equality, and much more. Our guests are experts in their field or topic of choice, even if you've not yet heard their name. This is a bipartisan podcast, so while we love exploring varied views and get a buzz from a healthy debate, by no means is this a one-sided forum for any one political view. So please listen up and enjoy the politics of everything. My guest today, Alex Allwood, heads up All Work Together, a specialised consultancy connecting customer and culture to empower customer-centric growth. Working with a range of businesses, Alex helps improve experiences that enhance customer value and distinctly differentiate. With a 20-year track record in leadership, operations, and marketing, Alex's strength is developing customer experience strategy that includes customer understanding and empathy, experience vision and guiding principles, and the customer narrative to enable collaboration and alignment. She's also authored the book, The Customer Experience is the Brand, and regularly facilitates customer journey mapping workshops and is a regular speaker on customer-centric transformation. It's probably no surprise then that we are here to discuss the politics of customers. Welcome, Alex.
Oh, welcome. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me on your podcast.
Well, you're definitely an expert in customers, so who else would I go to?
Thank you. That's right.
So digging back a little bit in time, did you have a childhood dream career and did that pan out, and why not?
You know, I'm not too different to many of the little girls and little boys who have the aspiration to be a famous actor. And no, that didn't pan out.
But did you do a lot of drama at school? Were you one of those kids that was kind of always doing that stuff? Yeah,
I did a lot of drama at school. I was on the stage and sought the limelight. However, I didn't progress a career in drama or in acting. But, when I reflect on that question, Amber, I think that acting is about telling a story. And, I do that every day. I help my clients tell their customers and their clients and their patients' story. So, it mightn't be a direct link to being an actor, but I certainly have that element in my day-to-day business.
Fantastic. So what was your first job and what did you think you learnt from that experience?
Look, I'm a big advocate of people having lots of different careers and lots of different jobs, because that's the way that you learn what you love, and what you don't want to do. And one of my first full-time jobs was in sales. And I think there was three things that sales helped me do, and that was to be a great listener, because when you're in sales, the important thing is to listen to your customers and develop empathy, develop, a feeling of what they are experiencing, and also develop an understanding of how your product or service meets their needs. And I'm using all of those resources and tools in what I do now. So I think that was the sales part was very influential to shape.
Absolutely. And I don't think you can escape sales in the modern society we live in. I mean, even, the use of social media, even though it's storytelling, I sometimes think it's sort of story selling as well. Like it's sort of how you're getting your messages across. And I think the listening piece is so important in business and in your career. So I think I can see why that would shape you.
Yep.
So tell us, in the most broadest sense, what is the customer experience really all about and why does it even matter?
Well, customer experience is, it's about how you make customers feel. That's an experience. And what I do is I help businesses put customer or client or patient or visitor at the center of their decision making. And this helps drive greater value for their customer. It helps to, as you said, differentiate and helps grow their business. And customer experience has become very relevant for businesses because we live in times that we have so much choice. And so the consumer or the customer has a lot of choice, and there's not much difference between one brand and the next, or one product offering and the next. And so customer experience helps that customer feel connected to that business because that business is delivering to their needs and their expectations. And I think it's important not only from the business's perspective, but an employee perspective as well, because putting the customer at the centre means that their work is very, what we call, purposeful.
Oh, yes. And that's a big thing, isn't it? Having that purpose, that piece is such a narrative which we're very familiar with, but I wonder if it was always the case. It sort of sounds like a bit of a new version of the customer experience in some ways.
Well, I think, when we were less competitive and less commoditised, we worked for an employer to, create products and services and create returns for shareholders. But I think people want a lot more of their careers. I think people want a higher purpose or a bigger reason to come to work every day. And I think that is the essence of being fulfilled in your career. And so when you put customer at the centre, it makes people feel like they're, improving the lives of the people that they're working for. And, it's important to have that as part of your everyday. I think that
absolutely,
when you have that purpose, it really creates connection to the brand, and also, and that helps with, when you have a deep connection with the brand and you feel like you're doing the right thing and you feel like you're treating others well, that becomes contagious, and that's where you get your employees being ambassadors of the business. And of course, when you have ambassadors of the business, whether they be customers or employees, that helps drive growth in the business.
It all sounds so logical. So you've obviously packaged that up in a way in which, I guess you can coach people to how to go through this process. But was it something you always did in your business, or what was your first business incarnation? Have you always been in this space, or have you done something differently once you started your own business?
I've always been in the customer space. I founded my first business 20 years ago over 20 years ago in 1997. With the ambition to have a work-life flexibility. I wanted to have children, and so I started a business in marketing, and it's in a particular area called media planning and buying. And that was when the industry regulator deregulated the advertising agency and media business. And I was one of the first agencies to start a media planning buying in that new era. And I've had businesses in brand strategy and advertising, and then we evolved our offering into customer experience, both strategy and implementation.
And how long ago was that? What sort of period are we talking?
5 years ago. And on the back of that evolution, or that pivot, I also wrote the book Customer Experience is the Brand.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess the industry's obviously evolved over the years, and it sounds like you've sort of weaved your way through this kind of area of work with marketing and communications and brand and storytelling. What are some of the biggest changes to the way businesses and customers interact today compared to, say, when you started your business or even 10 years ago?
Well, you know what what's driven these changes is being connected online, and specifically Mobile has given us access. Mobile and the internet has given us access to information that we never had before. And along with that is social media has connected us as well. And what's important here is that businesses understand that, the way that we purchased products and services fundamentally changed. 10 years ago, we'd have a need, for example, for a new television, and we'd probably see or hear an ad on television or in the newspapers or on radio, and then we'd go into a Harvey Norman's or a Bing Lee's and talk to a sales consultant, probably, make some brand selections based on our discussions and come back and talk to our neighbours and our family, and then make a product selection based on that. And so it was, today we use the internet to make those product decisions before we've even stepped out the front door. And we talk to people online, and we talk to in terms of product recommendation sites, and we talk to our friends and peers in social media to make purchasing decisions. So it's dramatically changed how we. Those are the big changes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all relate to that too, don't we? I mean, I think most of us, because we can skip ads on TV, for example, we don't even watch them anymore. They don't really inform a lot of our decisions. And I know some of my big purchasing decisions, or if I just want to sort of test the waters in a new product area that I maybe haven't purchased before, I'll definitely put something on social media to my peers and friends and say, hey, these are my options. What do you think? Or do you have any recommendations? And that really will probably seal the deal for me more than any glossy magazine ad or amazing, digital ad will ever do for me.
Yes. And, I bought a new dishwasher last month, and I hadn't bought a dishwasher for 20 years. So I didn't even know what brands were manufacturing dishwashers. But my first step was to go to the CanStar, website to have a look at customer ratings on different dishwashers. And from there, I Googled a number of brand names. And from there, I talked to people in my social media stream on what they were using. And I bought that dishwasher online. So I didn't even step into a physical retail store.
And you didn't even need to touch and feel it and open the doors and play with the bits.
No.
You just did it.
That's right. You have all your specs online, you have a video, and the purchasing decision was completely done online. It was delivered, the boxes were taken away. So it was, it was a seamless experience, and one that I was happy to recommend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And your recommendation might sort of, cascade into hundreds of purchasing decisions if you've got people in the same headspace who are looking for the same product at the same time. So I totally can see the power of that. And I think we all relate to it in all our decision-making purchases these days. So on a practical level, how do you shape customer experiences, and what are these sort of touch points that you talk to businesses about? I mean, you use obviously in-house workshops and so forth to kind of get your message across, but how do they, I guess, relate to what you say and then really put that into action? Is there a project or a client that you can maybe even on a no-names basis just share how you've walked with them through this experience and what that's resulted in?
I have a couple of really solid examples. I thought I might touch on a retail client that I'm working with, and the importance of defining firstly what the problem that you're trying to solve. And when I go and talk to a lot of businesses, they jump to, well, we want to create better experiences, and that is an important part of what we do. But what is underlying in terms of what business problems are you trying to solve? And this retailer, a large retailer in Australia, had, through the research that we'd undertook, identified a queuing problem Now, they could see that they had a queuing problem, and their employees were experiencing the fallout from queuing problems. But what they didn't understand was what was exacerbating that queuing problem. And so before we even start to solve those problems, we do what's called a customer journey map to understand the customer's end-to-end journey. And today, businesses have lots and lots of behavioural data to help them make decisions and understand what's happening at particular touch points through their business. But often that data doesn't tell them the why in terms of what the customer is thinking and feeling when they're interacting with that business across all the different interaction points. And so we use a qualitative method in terms of we go and talk to their customers, and from those one-on-one in-depth conversations, we then are able to map that journey in terms of what the customer is thinking, feeling and doing. And from that process, we were able to understand what were the triggers in terms of the customer's frustrations and emotional state when they were queuing, because it was actually not the queuing that was, causing them pain. It was other things that were causing them pain while they were queuing. And so based upon that, we had a look at what we call a value map in terms of who was delivering the value across the customer journey internally. And we got those different functional groups together to start to design a solution for these queuing challenges. So it's a very interesting project.
And how long would that typically take? I mean, what's this process? Is it 3 months, a year, or does it really vary?
It varies, but typically you're looking between 8 and 10 weeks to do the first part, and that's the customer understanding part, which is the customer journey mapping and creating profiles or doing a needs analysis for that customer. Because the second part of that is connecting the customer with the organisation, and that's how they're thinking about customer and how they're making decisions day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. That totally, I can see how that there will be variance, and I guess it depends on the type of organisation you're working with too, and how many layers there is to that company. Customers are obviously very savvy these days, and we've alluded to that in our purchasing decisions and how we go about it, and the ideas of trust and so forth are very high when they're recommended by our friends and peers, but maybe less so if it's just coming at us as a big glossy ad. So what do most customers expect from brands or companies that they do business with? Are there certain things we all expect, and how can businesses do it better so they're meeting the needs of customers?
It's a question that I'm asked often, and it's a question that most businesses expect there's going to be a generic or a quick fix solution that's going to improve their experience with their customers. In actual fact, if you really want to have change in creating value for customers, then you need to understand what the customer's needs are, and you need to solve the problems that they're trying to, or get the job, trying to create a product or service that solves their problems. And I think at the heart of that is creating an emotional and a personal connection with customers. It's not a one size fits all, because if it's a one size fits all, then you're not creating any differentiation between one brand and the next. And I'll give you an example. I'm an American Express holder. I have used American Express for 25 years. Now, they're a credit card provider, and so you wouldn't think that there's much difference between one credit card provider and the next. But, I had a little bit of a problem, and do you know what? They could solve that problem straight away. And my problem was that instead of using my name, they were using my full name. And so my name's Alex, but all the bank and financial institutions insist that my full name is used on the credit card. And
Yes.
when I said, my name is Alex, but you keep calling me by my full name, they said, you know what? That's no problems. We're going to get that changed for you. And so when I call now, they use my preferred name, but they went that extra step further and they reprinted my credit cards. So my preferred name now appears on my credit card. Now that is an emotional connection.
Yes.
And a personalised connection, and that is I think what the true essence of customer experience is all about.
And once again, it circles back into the idea of they listened to you. They understood how important it was for you to have the name you prefer to be known by on your card. So I think maybe even 20 years ago, that wouldn't happen. They would just go, oh, well.
It doesn't happen now. I've asked for other credit card providers to do the same, and other banking and financial institutions to do the same. They won't do it. And this is what keeps, and as a customer, that level of engagement helps you stay connected to the brand, but also you're happy to recommend that brand to your friends and your peers and your colleagues, and you're happy to tell that story of that positive experience to those people. And that's, I think, the essence of customer experience. And that's what customers expect these days. They expect that personalised experience.
So do you have any special mentors and inspirational people that have guided you through this journey of life and business? And if so, who are they and what have they taught you?
Well, when I wrote my book, I dedicated it to my husband because my husband, David Thompson, is a great supporter of Team Alex. He's a great confidence builder and self-esteem builder. And we've been married for 20 years and together for 30 years. And he's always, just supported me through whatever journey and whatever path I wanted to take. So I'm very lucky to have such a wonderful person in my life. I have had a big support and been influenced by Glenn Carlson, and he runs an organisation called DENT, which is a brand accelerator program. And he's helped me inform, my profile and my brand and product offering development, and was very instrumental in the pivot to customer experience. And I think, you look back, in order to go forward, and acknowledge that, a friend and colleague, Teddy Allen, who passed away last year. She gave me my first break in publishing. And so there's a number of people that have been very influential and in my career and in my life as well.
Great. So to wrap up, what would be your top 3 tips for anyone to succeed in the politics of customers?
So connect with your customer, deeply understand your customer, not just what they're doing, but dive deep into how they're feeling and connecting across the journey. I think communication is a big part of connecting the wider organisation to creating great experiences. Communication is about keeping the customer story alive across the business, day in and day out, and to help people in non-facing roles build empathy around customer, so that they're prioritising the work to improve experiences. And I think, as my brand name says, all working together, collaborating to improve your customer's life is the third tenet in regards to creating great experiences.
Well, it's been invaluable to have you on the podcast today. And if you do want to connect further with Alex Allwood, there will be some details on the show notes. Until next time, keep well. Thanks for listening today. If you've enjoyed the politics of everything, we thrive on feedback. So please add a short review and share the podcast with your network and your friends and family. I'm also always on the hunt for fabulous new guests. So if you've got a view to share and an idea how to get our listeners excited, please email me at amber@bespokecomms, that's BESPOKECOMMS.com.au, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Until next time.